Worry about it. I think we're rolling. How are you this morning? Yes, we're live. I hope you can hear me okay. I've got my new blue ball mic because it must be working hard. It must be a hard-working mic. I've got my blue ball mic. I hope you're hearing me okay. Um, I'm seeing a couple messages here that it appears that everything's okay. So, welcome again to another installment of the Chicken Qabalah of Rabbi Lamed ben Clifford. And we're on the chapter of the Chicken Tarot and the Holy Guardian Angel, which is very timely. The material is very timely, at least for me, and for about 100 of you people that were attending my last night's tarot workshop, the first of four, because this was exactly what we were talking about last night. So the rabbi is continuing his interview with, he's being interviewed by Ida Pengala, who is works for Augury Today Tarot magazine. And this is a excerpt from that magazine interview with the rabbi. We left off with the rabbi talking about the four aces. The four aces are really the big Yod-He Vav-He and everything that goes with it. The Ace of Wands is spirit of fire. Ace of Cups is spirit of water. Ace of Swords is spirit of air. Ace of Discs is spirit of earth. Together, the four court cards of each suit are a miniature Yod-He Vav-He that subdivides their aces into four parts. Kings are the fiery nature of their suit. Queens are the watery nature of their suit. Princes are the airy nature of their suits. And the princesses are the earthy nature of their suits. Are you following this? The King of Wands is fire of fire, do you see? Fire because he's king, and fire because he's a wand. The King of Cups would be fire of water. Fire because he's king, and water because his suit is cups. See how it goes? The Queen of Cups would be, and then the interviewer interrupts and says, water of water. And the Princess of Swords would be, and she answers, earth of air. Princess is the earthy nature of her suit, and swords are the air. I get it. The rabbi continues. The Kabbalist sees the wonders of creation as the result of deity shuffling the cards and dealing them out in different numbers and combinations. It shuffles and draws 3 or 4 here, perhaps to create the elemental recipe for a duck. Or it deals out 3 or 4 cards over there to create pond scum or an aardvark. Do you see what I'm saying? The magazine. Absolutely, yes, fascinating. But how can we use this information to help us out in a tarot reading? Court cards are, for me, the most difficult cards to interpret. Well, with the court cards, we are in luck. Because the kings, queens, and princes each represent 30 degrees of the year, from 20 degrees of one zodiac sign to 20 degrees of the next. And the magazine asks, what about the princesses? Good question. I'll talk about the princesses later. For the time being, let's just look at the kings, queens, and princes. The reason why these 12 court cards rule from 20 degrees of one sign to 20 degrees of the next is to underscore the necessity for the elements to mix with other elements. If they ruled the entire 30 degrees of a zodiac sign, there would be no elemental mix. Besides, we already have 12 perfectly good zodiacal cards represented by the 12 zodiac trumps. It's pretty easy to determine which days in any given year a king or a queen or a prince represents. This is extremely helpful in a reading, especially when inspiration fails us. At such times, we can always remember that the Queen of Cups represents June 11th to July 11th, or the Knight of Discs is August 12th through September 11th. This is also helpful knowledge if you want to use a person's birth date as a significator, or it might even give the birth card of someone who is important to the reading. It can be even more meaningful to think about the elemental mix of a court card and how it would translate in the character of an individual or a situation. Kings are the fiery aspect of their suit and so display the most violent and dynamic aspects of their element, also the most fleeting. Queens, being watery, are receptive and hold on to as well as reflect the nature of their suit. Although, like a good mother, she will eventually relinquish her hold to pass it on to her children. The prince and princess are literally the offspring of the king and queen. The prince is the more active of the two. Certain elements combine harmoniously and others don't. But don't think you can nail down a hard and fast definition to the character of any tarot card by simply combining buzzwords. No card lives in a vacuum. Its ultimate meaning depends on its relation to its neighbors and the nature of the question. For this reason, the tarot reader should ideally be a Kabbalist, armed with the knowledge of the fundamental classifications of everything in his or her universe. Eventually, illumination will come, not through analysis or contemplation, but as the result of profound and simple observation. The magazine says, "Why, Rabbi, that's sublime." I hardly know what to say. The rabbi says, "Good. Now let's talk about the 36 small cards. I won't forget the princesses. Each of the 36 small cards represents one decan, or 10-degree period of the year. Their positions are determined with perfect Kabbalistic logic, and they nestle neatly under the rulership of a king or a queen or a prince of their suit. I brought a couple of charts that I hope you can print out with this interview to show this far better than I can explain. And there's one, there's the one chart. Oh, guys, you're just going to have to get this book if you don't have it, because there's more charts. The rabbi worked hard on those charts. The first chart, each of the 36 small cards rules one decan, or 10 degrees of the zodiac. Well, I think it's all in the text here. Each of the 36 small cards represents one decan of the zodiac. In other words, the 2, 3, and 4 of wands represents the first, second, and third decan of Aries, because 2s, 3s, and 4s represent cardinal signs, and wands are fire, and Aries is the cardinal fire sign of the zodiac. And that magazine says, as simple as that? Rabbi, yes, as simple as that. And not only that, a planet is also assigned to each of the 36 small cards, starting with 0 degrees Leo, the Five of Wands. So starting at 0 degrees Leo, the planets are allotted to the small cards in descending tree of life order. For your readers who are unfamiliar with the tree of life, I'll just tell you that the order is Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon. You'll notice that Mars repeats itself at the last decan of Pisces and the first decan of Aries. Kabbalists explain this by saying that the end of winter and the beginning of spring, the year needs an extra boost of Mars energy to help usher in spring. And the rabbi notes, hey, don't blame me. I didn't invent this system. But if you do that, everything else works out in the zodiacal wheel. Okay, now you can see where the small cards get their traditional meanings. It's a combination of their Kabbalistic and astrological attributes. The Two of Wands is called dominion because it is first and foremost a strong and fiery wand, the suit of will. Then it's a 2, the purest, strongest position in the small card sequence. Then it's the first decan of Aries, the strong, aggressive, and energy-filled sign of the zodiac. And finally, the planet attributed to the Two of Wands is Mars. And Mars is very, very happy in Aries. In other words, wand plus 2 plus Aries plus Mars equals dominion. All the small cards aren't as obvious as the Two of Wands, but I guarantee that if you carefully examine the suit, the number, and the zodiac sign and planet attributed to each small card, you will eventually see why it bears its traditional meaning, why the Three of Cups is love, and why the Six of Wands is victory, and the Nine of Swords is cruelty and despair. And I think that's where we'll end our talk today on the small cards. We will pick this up again tomorrow at the same time. I'd like to thank everybody that started the class series last night on our Zoom class. For those of you that didn't get to register, we will, of course, archive it, and it will continue every Wednesday night for the next 3 Wednesdays. But anyway, hope you all have a good time. Amuse yourself. Amuse yourself amusing yourself. This is going to blow over someday. But just remember, when it does blow over, everything will be different anyway. So the best you can do is be the best you can be. And I know that sounds like Mr. Rogers, but hey, I guess I'm the Mr. Rogers of black magic. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. Be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.